kusoo dhawaada barnaamij gaar ah oo aanu ku wareysanayno danjiraha midowga Yurub u fadhida ama ugu qaybsan Soomaaliya oo magaceeda la yiraahdo Benaric Lorenzo waxa ay booqasho ku timi magaalada Hargeysa waxaanu ku wareysanay hotelka Ambassador ee ku yaala magaalada Hargeysa. Ambassador Lorenzo, welcome to Hargeysa first, and thank you for accepting having an interview with Hctv, an exclusive one special. First, what's the purpose of your visit at this time to Somaliland?
Thank you very much, and I'm pleased to be here with you today and to talk to our Somaliland friends. I'm here today especially for the book fair at the Hargeisa Cultural Center. We have been supporting the Cultural Center for many years now, for almost a decade, and it's a great pleasure to see it flourishing and really and to see a revival of Somali culture.
As far as I know, your office in Hargeisa, or the European Union office in Hargeisa, was closed, and it has been like that for quite some time. Are you planning to reopen it, or?
Perhaps it's important to explain why exactly it was, when and how it was closed. It was closed for administrative reasons at the end of 2016. And so much so that it's not the only office that was closed. Garowe was also closed. But the European Union retains a presence. Even now, we have the offices of UCAP that are our civilian mission, our EU member states' civilian mission on maritime security, and they provide the anchor for us. So we're not completely absent. We haven't disappeared.
You're not cut off from
Not at all. But we have, having said that, we will reinforce our presence here because we do consider it extremely important, and we're on the way to reinforcing our relationship with Somaliland.
As the European Union, you are the biggest donors, in other words, contributors to the Somali problem. I will say that, not Somalia, Somaliland only. How do you distribute this among Somalia and Somaliland?
So in terms of, the allocation is joint. The allocation is for Somalia. And we have about 35% allocated to Somaliland. And that corresponds more or less, it's a fair breakdown in terms of if you look at the population share.
What are the biggest projects that you do in Somaliland?
The sectors we concentrate most on, we have three what we call focal sectors, and to give you an idea, from 20 ongoing programs at the moment, we have 70 million euros. Of these, 40 million are focused on what we call resilience, economic growth, jobs, employment creation, and all the productive sectors. So this is really the lion's share of our assistance. And then the other two sectors are, number one, the support to the state, to state institutions, to public finance management, to the democratization, the election process. And also another big chunk of cluster of support is to education. It started as basic education, but has now expanded into secondary and training and vocational education.
Do you think that these projects have at all materialized?
Absolutely, I think so. I mean, let me give you an example in terms of education. What we have seen, for instance, in secondary school, is a remarkable improvement in girls' attendance, almost doubling of the girls' attendance. Now, I won't claim the fame for the European Union, but this is a remarkable Somaliland achievement, which we have helped supporting. And like this, I can give you several examples in productive in watershed management, in productive sectors, in employment creation. So absolutely, they have materialized.
Okay. What you call Somalia, and we call Somali Republic, constituted of two entities, former British Somaliland, former Italian, not Somaliland. Somaliland has been independently doing things in the last 27 years. They have their own elections, they have their own elected president, elected parliament, although they have already, some droughts and other problems, but they share with the other Somalia as well. But Somalia has been divided into 6 sub-Somalia regions. Do you see that's going to destabilize what was Somalia before? 6 presidents now.
That's an interesting question. Let me go back. Perhaps, I mean, first of all, I think it's important to say that the achievement, what Somaliland has managed to achieve in the last 20, 25, 27 years is absolutely remarkable. The building of institutions, the building of a nation, bringing together the divided people has truly been remarkable, and without initially with absolutely no external assistance at all. And this was, in a way, this illustrated, this coming together of Somaliland illustrated a situation that was a de facto situation. This is what, this is how Somalia was at the time. And the constitution of a federal project that contains 6 regions is, I wouldn't say it's the same process because it has very different features, and it was Mogadishu led, but it corresponds to the same reality. It's acknowledging that Mogadishu did not have the necessary outreach and could not impose unity top down. And so it's an acknowledgement that these regions exist, and that any political agreement must be negotiated between these regions in a similar way as we hope that
so instead of arguing that Somalia, Somaliland talk to each other and we have to first do Somalia to negotiate between themselves and their regions. Is that what the European policy or the other world policy is now?
No, I think that the two things can happen simultaneously. There are many. One of the principal issues to build a sustainable Somalia in future is to address the numerous conflicts and to really walk a path towards reconciliation. This reconciliation needs to be done almost in each of the regions at many different levels, and it also needs to happen between Somalia and Somaliland, Mogadishu and Somaliland. This national dialogue will be a cornerstone of the future stability.
Ambassador, do you hope that there will be any viable government in Mogadishu at all?
I think we have to, again, we need to take a step backwards and look at how far we've come. nobody expected, or many people had doubts, that we would have an election at all, then that we would have a successful election, that we would have a government. We've gone through these hurdles one by one, and we have a government, so far stable, with many different challenges. I can't imagine a more difficult job than being president of Somalia. But we've come very far.
There is alshabaab as well problem. Now the international community is trying to fight against alshabaab, not the Somali government, because they can't do it alone. There are about over 20,000 African peacekeeping force. Do you see that they have done anything about that problem so far?
Let me first go back to the first part of your question. You say the Somali government cannot do anything about it. Well, that is actually the first priority of the current Somali government, and I think there's an acknowledgement that al-Shabaab will only be defeated permanently by the Somalis. It can never be defeated by a foreign army. So far, the AMISOM troops have been here for 10 years. They have done an amazing job. They have sacrificed many of their people, and they have done a lot in terms of building initial stability. But now we're working towards transitioning those forces and passing the baton to the Somali National Army.
The European Union are the biggest payers of the salaries of these countries who contribute to this AMISOM. I heard that you reduced that salary nowadays. How can they do things when you are reducing the money that they used to have?
We didn't really reduce their salaries. There was a reduction in contribution of 20%, and that was last year, 2 years ago, in fact. And this corresponds. We have been financing AMISOM for the last 10 years. You know, it's time to burden share. We have a number of competing crises in the world, and it's important to allocate resources in a fair way. Having said that, we continue to finance stipends for the AMISOM soldiers at a cost of about 20 million euros a month, and those will go until 2018, where we hope there will be. This is when the transition will start.
People talk about Somalia having their own army, and that's a difficult job for a foreigner to do, and for a Somali politician to do it alone as well, without the consent of having a political unity in Somalia or Somaliland. And there are enough army already in the communities, different communities with different tribes and all this, and you don't want to blow up, you know, what you have already suppressed. It means fighting Somalis each other. How do you think it will be possible for anybody to rebuild a Somali army?
That's why I come back to your initial question about the 6 regions. This is where the regions become a very important political entity. Because you're right, you cannot build an army top down and impose, but rather it has to be a strong army, but it needs to come from a political agreement amongst the regions, between the regions.
Finally, I don't want to make any more of you. What are you going to? Somaliland is expecting now to have a presidential election soon. If that elections go ahead and hopefully it becomes successful as we are expecting, will the European Union or anyone else do something for Somaliland, either recognizing it or doing some more incentive to help them create a democracy or contain the democracy itself?
I think we've been very good partners of Somaliland. We've been long-term partners of Somaliland. And you're right, these elections are crucial, are fundamental for Somaliland to demonstrate they continue to hold these high standards they have had for the last 25 years. And it really is a matter of credibility. So if the elections go ahead as we're all expecting and waiting on 13th of November, we will continue to be the very good partners we have been so far. It is not in our mandate. It is not our job to recognize Somaliland. What I can tell you is that one thing we will be with the new elections, one thing we will be very much encouraging is the revitalization of this national dialogue.
What about the Brexit?
What about Brexit?
Foreign policy, European foreign policy together in the Horn of Africa or in Africa. If Britain goes, what will the other Europeans do?
Well, Brexit is one issue, and and in Europe we are negotiating in the next 2 years, little less, the conditions for the exit of Great Britain from the European Union. I think quite a different thing is how we partner and how we collaborate with our British friends in the context of the Horn of Africa. Great Britain is also a major donor, has been a very important partner for us. We co-fund a number of programs. We have the same strategic interests, and we will continue to have these same strategic interests after Brexit. So I trust we will continue to be extremely good partners.
Thank you, Ambassador Lawrence.
Thank you very much.